Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
When should you actually start marketing? In today's episode of the Childcare Bridge, I wanted to talk through a question that has been coming up a lot more than I've been seeing in a while. And the conversations normally start like this. Hey, Michael, our busiest month is coming up in a month or two. When should we start marketing? Now, I'm going to give you a couple of twists and turns and a couple of principles that you need to shift your mindset with in order to move in the right direction. But I wanted to really talk this through because I firmly believe that the number one reason childcare centers are closing, the number one reason that they're not making you the amount of money that you deserve to be making, could be making, should be making, is simply due to a lack of marketing. Yes, you're going to have other problems. Yes, you're going to have other challenges. You're going to have staffing issues. You're going to have issues with your director. You're going to have parents that give you one-star reviews. There's always going to be those problems and those challenges in this particular industry. It's the nature not only of this particular beast in this industry, but small business in general. I use the phrase often, no problems, no business. If you don't have any problems within your organization, you really don't have a business. There's no business that's running flawlessly that never has any problems or challenges. But if I really laser in, and being in this industry for 12, 13, 14 years, working with hundreds, if not thousands of centers, the issue that they are encountering daily is that they don't understand that marketing is an investment. They put marketing as an expense and they feel like they don't need to do it. I can count on one hand the number of centers that I've seen over the last 10 plus years that didn't have to do any marketing. Now there's an asterisk to this. The reason they didn't have to do any marketing is because they were literally the only game in town for like 30 miles. But even then, when someone catches on and starts to grab some of their market share, but the amount of demand for the number of enrollments that they could even handle was far greater. There was a demand for probably 700 to 1,000 slots. This center could fit, I believe, 150. They'd have to open up a lot more locations in their area and or spots, even just to keep up with demand. Now, in that case, when demand is just literally just growing and is just far outpacing how many spots there are, that's a different story. But if I told you again that I've only seen this maybe 2 or 3 times over 10 years, the chances are pretty darn high that you need to be marketing your centers on a regular basis. So if I come back to the initial question that I've been getting asked often, this is normally asked by centers that are not doing any marketing. They're finally looking at starting to do marketing. They'll say, well, should we wait and turn it on in, let's say, late July or in August? Should we turn our marketing on in January? If we turn it on during the busier months, should we scale back or pause on other months? The short reply that I'm going to give you, and then I promise we'll get more tactical, is that the time for you to start marketing is now. It's not in a month, it's not in 3 weeks or 6 months, it's right now. The only way that you are going to grow your empire by way of leads, tours, enrollments, locations is through marketing. The exception to this rule is if you're going through acquisition. You can definitely buy locations. You can expand that way, but those locations will also need marketing. There is no more if you build it and they will come. There's no more because you have the fanciest center in town or you've got the best locations that all of a sudden everyone is finding out about you. And that you're going to have this line around the block on day one for people to walk through and everyone's ready to pre-register and they're ready to go. And that does not happen. The only way that that starts to happen is if you are marketing months and months and months, if not further in advance of when you actually need the marketing. So if you've got a key enrollment month that's right around the corner, why would you be waiting to turn your marketing on? Your marketing should have been on a couple of months ago. So going back to it, the best time to start is today. You're going to have ebbs and flows during the course of the year. You're going to have some months that are amazing and you're getting lots of leads and people that are raising their hands and parents that are very interested. They want to come in and tour. You're going to have those extremely high months. You're going to have some months that are a little bit lower, typically December. People go into holiday mode. They're normally not changing care in the month of December, unless they're moving into the area, for example, but they're typically not shifting care. That starts back up in January, for example. They put it off for the holidays and they say, well, maybe it makes sense to go in tour a different center, or we're not overly happy with our first couple of months here. You're going to have those ebbs and flows, but the way that you're going to stand the test of time, the way you're going to have that timeless impact, the way you're going to have a business that will outlast you is by putting more money, more time, more resources, more attention into marketing. There is never a bad time to start marketing. If you're looking at opening up a new location, this is a question that I get asked often as well. Michael, when should I start marketing for my new location? We're not opening for another 6 months. And they're shocked and they don't love my reply because my reply is, well, you're already behind the 8 ball. Typically for a center that's opening, if it's a build from scratch, for example, and or you're taking over a lease, we're doing marketing at minimum 6 months in advance, usually 8 to 12 months out. Now, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to make sure that you're marketing all the time? Why would you be marketing a center that's not opening for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, possibly even a little bit longer? You do this because you don't want to get behind the 8 ball. Where centers are struggling is when they cannot keep up with losing money on a particular month or multiple months in a row. You're losing money because you're not operating at profitable ratios, for example. You don't have enough leads to produce enough tours to produce enough enrollments. So rather than you opening up a new center and having a $50,000 a month expense and having 0 enrollments to offset that, our objective is that you open with that location to have enough enrollments so that you're profitable within the first 30 to 60 days. Otherwise, you start off behind and then it is very, very tough financially for you to catch up. Unless you have, big pockets and you've got enough working capital that you can withstand big losses. But even then, I would much rather you be investing, let's call it $5,000, $10,000 a month for 8 months in advance. Well, Michael, how could we afford to do that? Because you're going to open up your center with 30, 40, 50, 60 enrollments at $1,000 a month or more. Most of the new centers that we work with that are opening, the tuition's $1,500, $2,000, even greater. So it pays for that rather than you walking into month 1 and you lose $50,000, month 2 you lose $40,000, then maybe $35,000, and as you continue to go, okay, great, now we're finally profitable, but you total up the numbers and it would have been much better to front load some of that marketing. It's much better to be marketing 24/7. When you build your wait list, I don't want you to stop. I want you to build a wait list even larger. I want you to have a wait list that is a mile deep. I've had centers show me their wait list, and I'll say, well, tell me the dates. And they'll say, well, Michael, we have a wait list and it's got 200 people on it, but I look at it and there's people from 7 years ago. I want to look at the wait list for the last 3 to 6 months, for example. If you've got 100 people, but only 5 of them are in the last 3 to 6 months, to me, you have 5 people on your wait list. It's never a bad thing to have your brand name out there. I want you to be the most well-known center or centers in your area. There's this phrase, 5 mile famous, for example. I want you to be that go-to center, the preferred local center, as I like to call it. You do this through marketing. You do this by being consistent. You're consistently executing a plan. But if I can get you to start to shift your mindset from, well, I think we probably should do some marketing, to must. You must be doing marketing. There is no exception to this rule. There's 0 exception. Number 2, from a principle standpoint, you have to know that this is an investment, not an expense. If you're constantly looking at your monthly budgets, which you should be, saying, well, I put $3,000 in marketing, I wonder if I can cut that because we're making a little bit of money, but it seems like we could be more profitable if we stopped our marketing. The centers that start and stop, I can tell you they underperform the centers that are consistent 12 months a year by roughly 35%. So the centers that come to us and say, let's put more money in these particular months and then let's stop at these months, they underperform the centers that we work with that are consistent 12 months a year. And if anything, they will increase during the busier months. But they never go below a certain threshold because they're always keeping their name, their brand, their offers, their centers, their team front and center in parents' minds. You cannot underestimate the power of brand and being able to be consistent day after day after day. So if you're looking at doing some planning and you're looking at saying, well, I know my busy month is right around the corner, you need to start now. Now, where would I start? Some things are going to take a little bit of time to actually help you. But the places that we always start, we do a reactivation campaign. That means going after any leads that you potentially didn't do an amazing job with the follow-up. The second place we start is your Google business profile. We go in and heavily optimize it. I want to see content on that profile on a weekly basis, if not more. The third thing we do is we make sure that the website is set up to actually drive enrollments in tours. Fourth, we start throwing money at paid traffic. Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. We start to get that message out there, but we make sure the message is unique. So when you're looking at what do you want to put out in the universe? I see ads all day long. I love to look at what competitors are doing. They're all the same. Come and join XYZ Academy family. Now enrolling. They're waiving the registration fee. I want you to have different creative, different copy, different content. And you're going to hear me talk over the next couple of weeks a lot about brand and that importance of brand and what people are saying about you in the community. One of my favorite ways to continue to get more brand equity and brand share is by being different. So they think of you differently than everyone else. So when do you start marketing a new center? When do you start marketing for your busy season? Now. The time is always now to start generating attention, awareness, leads, tours, and eyeballs. Keep a marketing first approach to driving growth at your centers, and you will stand the test of time and you will outperform every one of your competitors. Why, when they're kind of going and looking at what kind of classroom improvements can we make, and I want you to do all that, or what should we add to the playground, you're going to be focused on marketing. How do I continue to drive more attention, more eyeballs, more tours, more enrollments? Which center do you think is going to win? It'll be yours all day long. Tune in next week. I'll continue to deliver the fire. Michael Tesner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.